today's episode, we're going to talk about, in this fast-changing and uncertain world, why things are happening the way they are. Again, a lot of times we don't have all the answers to why things might be happening externally. We can't explain all that, but we can at least talk about why we are responding the way that we are and what the strategy is for how you are moving forward as a team. I'm sending a bit of a memo to employees and leaders. And today is about reminding you that it's a two-way street. We have to help each other, especially in times of uncertainty, ambiguity, doubt, fear. When everything gets foggy out that windshield, it's a two-way street. We have to help each other. And we're going to talk about that more today and some keys to remember, no matter what role you're in, how we navigate our way forward together.
Welcome back to The Thermostat with Jason Barger. If you're currently on a commute, a walk, or just a micro break in your day, glad you're making time to step back, to think, and to reflect on the next steps on your journey. I've never been more convinced. The best leaders and team cultures in the world are the ones that make time to step back and calibrate their thermostat. I hope today's conversation leaves you feeling grounded and inspired. Now let's dive into today's topic to engage our minds and hearts in order to authentically lead and create compelling cultures wherever we are in the world.
Hey everyone, it's Jason, and welcome back to the Thermostat Podcast. I am so excited that you're here. Thank you for coming back. If you are somebody who has been here since day one, thank you for listening to the podcast. So many great episodes, all in the first, now we're in season 5, well over 100 episodes. So welcome back if you're somebody who's been along from the journey the whole time. If you are new to this podcast, then there are over 100 episodes. So I hope you go back, listen to some of the great conversations that we've had, amazing thought leaders that have joined me along the way, and also just great individual micro podcasts to stimulate your thinking. So I'm so glad that you are here. I hope this continues to be a place that in your day, in your week, in your month, for you to step back, to think, to be thoughtful about your own personal leadership, how you show up in the world individually, in your own life and in your own work, and then certainly with the culture that you're creating with the people around you. So I'm as convinced of this as ever, that authentic leadership, the mindset that we bring to everything we do in our daily life and work, and the culture that we create with the people around us is as important as ever. So I'm so excited that you're here. If you'll do me a quick favor, I know I hate asking for this, but thank you for everybody who actually does this. Take 30 seconds, 60 seconds, rate this podcast. 5 stars, of course. Thank you. If you can leave a nice review, that's fantastic. If you think about people in your life, your career, that like these topics or ought to be a part of these conversations, if you can share the link with them, say, hey, this is something you ought to subscribe to and be a part of. That's the way, whether we like it or not, that's the way that these messages spread around the world. So thank you for everybody who helps amplify these messages in that way, in all those ways, by rating, reviewing, sharing, all those things. So thank you. This season, we've been talking about navigating our way through the future of work. That is a tagline, a phrase that you've been hearing everywhere about, that teams and organizations all around the globe are figuring out what does the future of work going to look like, with remote work and in-person work, hybrid work, with in the midst of a global pandemic or economic and political uncertainty, with division, with all the challenges that people are facing in the world today. And how do we navigate work-life balance, and how do we help people take care of themselves and their own mental health, but at the same time be high performers and help contribute the strengths and gifts that they have? So we've been talking about all this stuff. We've been talking about some of the phrases you've been hearing throughout the world about the Great Resignation, about the big shift. We've been talking about emotional intelligence and the key role that plays in everything we do, but certainly in navigating our way through the world right now, that how important that is. And last episode, we talked about, all this talk about attracting talent and this war for talent that is on right now as the big shift has happened and people are moving from organization to organization, and so many companies that are throwing money at the problem, or are just, with the old ways of trying trying to attract talent. They're trying to do the same thing they've always done, but hoping for a different result. And yet the reality is we talked about some key elements that we need to be reminded of, that attracting talent actually begins on the inside. Our own clarity for ourselves and the culture that we're trying to create as a team and organization. And then our ability to brand that and message that and connect with people externally based on the authentic inside culture that we are creating. And then how we begin to build that relationship with people and make connection to caring for them as a whole person. Those are some of the key ways that the most innovative companies right now and teams are attracting talent in a time when there's a shortage of talent everywhere. And many employees, of course, 9 out of 10 employees are saying that they'd take a pay cut to work for a more meaningful culture. So today, in today's episode, we're going to talk about, in this fast-changing and uncertain world, I'm sending a bit of a memo to employees and leaders, to team members and leaders, to contributors and leaders, to help each other. That in the midst of this fast-changing time and uncertain times, that we need both leaders and team members, leaders and contributors, leaders and employees to help each other. It's a two-way street to stimulate progress within our teams and organizations, and every single person is needed. So today is a love letter, if you will, a memo, a letter from me to both leaders and employees, leaders and team members, leaders and contributors. So let me start with addressing the leaders. Anybody that's on this, by the way, you know, if you've listened to this podcast, that I believe that all of us, no matter what your title is, all of us are leaders in some sense, in the sense that people around us are looking at us and watching the way that we respond to how we think, act, and interact. And so every single one of us, even if you aren't a leader by title, you are a leader in the sense that someone is always watching what you're doing, and they are taking cues for not just what you do, but how you show up. And then there are people that are leaders by title, leaders that have been asked and are, I believe are partnering with the organization to say, I will play and step into a role of leadership in order to help steward, care for, support, and lead the people around me. So let me address those that are in official roles of leadership, to have titles of leadership. Those of you out there who are currently in a position of leadership, I know much is on your plate. This I want to be clear about. I know much is on your plate these days, and has been over the last couple of years. There's been so much happening over the last couple of years, and leaders in particular have been had a lot on their plates, a lot of tough decisions to make, a lot of feedback, a lot of angst, a lot of messages coming at them of what are we doing, how are we going to respond, and so there has been a lot on our plates for anybody in a leadership role. You have pressure on you. I know this. You have pressure on you with every team and organization that I am supporting and working with and serving right now. I know this, that leaders, people in roles of leadership are trying to care for all their people. And there's pressure on you to keep people aligned, especially in the midst of what we've talked about in previous episodes of the Great Resignation. You know, with so many people just up and quitting jobs, getting burned out, getting fed up with all of the uncertainty and just, you know, the mental challenges of the last couple of years, that many people have just pulled the ripcord and jumped out of their jobs. And so there's great pressure on many leaders to keep people aligned, to keep striving and at the same time supporting high performance. Because many people in leadership roles, again, the organization, the board of directors, the whoever it is overseeing your organization, also wants performance to continue, and in many cases raise the bar on that performance. And so the reality is much certainty that is often hard to articulate to those who are looking for your guidance. In the midst of this uncertainty, the people looking around you, it's hard to articulate where we're going and what's going to happen. And so I recognize, and I'm just saying this off the top, that there has been pressure, and this has been a challenging stretch for all of you that are in leadership roles. Okay? So let's just get that clear from the beginning. Employees or team members or contributors, whatever role you might be, somebody, again, you are all leaders in the sense that somebody's always watching what we're doing, but not everybody is in a quote-unquote role of leadership. And so, employees or team members or contributors, for those of you in a contributing role and are looking to your leader during these uncertain and challenging times, I know it also has been stressful. It's been ambiguous and sometimes overwhelming when a lack of clarity has existed. It is hard to be patient when the vision is not all that clear out the windshield of the road ahead for your own particular role, for your department, or for the entire organization. And so I know it's been challenging for you as an employee, a team member, a contributor, to not quite sure. You don't know when things are uncertain and ambiguous. It's hard to know where things are leading, and it's easy for fear and doubt to creep in. So I want to say that from the very beginning. I know that it's been challenging, and that there's, no matter what perspective you're coming to this, it's been a challenging year. But both of those perspectives are true. Both of those perspectives are true. They are real, and they are experiences that many have been feeling. And so today's reminder is a message of support, is to hang in there, because both of you, both sides of this, both employees, team members, contributors, and absolutely the leaders that are leading and hanging in the pocket and trying to align people, both of you are needed. And today is about reminding you that it's a two-way street. We have to help each other, especially in times of uncertainty, ambiguity, doubt, fear. When everything gets foggy out that windshield, it's a two-way street. We have to help each other. And we're going to talk about that more today, and some keys to remember, no matter what role you're in, how we navigate our way forward together. So let's take a quick break. Let's pause for a second, take a quick break, and we'll be right back. Hey everybody, it's Jason. Just a quick reminder that Friday, October 29th is coming very quickly. Thermostat Cultures Live. This year a hybrid event. I couldn't be more excited about the voices that are joining me, and it's going to be another powerful day. Don't quote me on this, but there are only a few limited VIP seats for the in-person event that are left, so if you're wanting to be a part of that, please jump on that quickly. There are virtual seats and access codes still available, so if you or your team want to be a part of this great event on Friday, October 29th, I hope you'll go to thermostatcultureslive.com. Hope to see you there and have you as a part of these powerful conversations and day of development. See you then. Here is the way the memo or the letter, the love letter begins. So, dear leaders and employees, dear leaders and team members, dear leaders and contributors, here are the ways that we can remember to help each other during these days of uncertainty, ambiguity. These are a few reminders that I want to share with you, because both of you are important. Those that are leading, of course, we need leaders that are bold and firm, are able to be caring, thoughtful, steward leaders, servant leader kind of folks, to be able to think about caring for people around them and leading the way forward. We need that. And we also need passionate team members, contributors, employees that recognize that the role they play is significant, and that they also are co-creators in the future culture that's being created, and that their role is significant. So here are ways you can help each other during these days. The first key that I want to remind you is proactively communicate. Proactively communicate. Leaders, go out of your way to help your team understand why things are happening the way they are, and what the strategy is for how you are moving forward as a team. Leaders, go out of your way. Go out of your way to help people understand, hey, why things are happening the way they are. Again, a lot of times we don't have all the answers to why things might be happening externally. We can't explain all that, but we can at least talk about why we are responding the way that we are and what the strategy is for how you are moving forward as a team. Here are the things that are going to be clear, and so we need to proactively communicate this to our people. Here's why we're approaching this the way we are, and here's the strategy of how we're going to move forward as a team. Employees or team members or contributors, help communicate proactively what is unclear. The leaders need to know what is unclear or what questions you might have for the future. If the leaders don't know what is unclear, and if they haven't listened or haven't asked the questions, employees, team members, contributors, we need to make sure that you are proactively communicating, hey, what don't you understand, what is unclear, or what questions you might have for the future. We need to move toward each other, not away from each other. So that mentality of just put your head down and everybody do your role and keep going, well, we can't just do that. We need to make sure that we're moving towards each other, not away from each other. And one of the ways we're going to do that is we're going to proactively communicate. The second reminder about the way that each of you can help each other is don't pull the ripcord too early or make assumptions. Don't pull the ripcord too early or make assumptions. Again, you've heard me say that 7.6 million people up and quit their job in the months of April and May. They just up and quit their job, and for a variety of reasons, of course. Burnout, two-income folks that needed to go down to one income because they've got kids at home and homeschooling. Some close to the end of their careers where they just said, I got to get out of here. Some just mental challenges got so big and stressful and burnout was there that they just needed to make a change, but they pulled the ripcord and got out. And for many good reasons, I'm hoping people made good reasons to get out. But many of those situations caught their boss or their leader off guard or were knee-jerk kind of reactions. Some of the research and study that's coming out around that is that, yes, hopefully some of those were good decisions that people made and helpful and healthy for their life and the future life they're creating. But some of them, I think it became knee-jerk reactions, and we're starting to see some of the data on that it was just kind of knee-jerk, I can't take this anymore, and so I made a decision before I really communicated or talked with my leader or my boss about this. So it caught people off guard. And sometimes it is time to go. Sometimes it just is. Sometimes it's time to go, and sometimes it is best for everyone involved to have a change. So don't hear me say that changing roles, that's always bad. Sometimes that's really helpful. But don't pull the ripcord too early. Don't just get fed up, knee-jerk reaction, freak out, and pull the ripcord. What I would encourage you is to employees, team members, contributors, make sure you go and talk to your leader about how you're feeling and see if any other creative possibilities or opportunities exist before you assume that nothing can get better or there is no other solution and that you just have to quit the organization or the team, that's the only out. Make sure that you go and have that conversation that's the currency for change with your leader. Talk to them about how you're feeling. Communicate, again, proactively. Don't pull the ripcord too early, and don't make any assumptions. Leave some room for maybe some positive, some creative opportunities or creative thinking to exist so that the leaders can help you in that way. And leaders, don't make any assumptions with how your team might be feeling. Don't sit back as a leader and just assume that everybody's okay and that everything's fine because you haven't heard from anybody. Go seek it out. You've heard me talk about going to them to serve. Make sure that you're seeking out your opening lines of communication. You're taking pulse checks of your people to say, hey, how are we feeling? And I want to talk with you about how you're doing as a whole person, not just your role. Meet them where they are so that both of you are helping each other, so we're not making assumptions or pulling the ripcord too early. And then the third and last thing that I want to just remind you of the ways that we can be helping each other right now is by just showing appreciation. Showing appreciation, because in times of high stress and anxiety, genuine appreciation is oxygen to many people. In times of high stress and anxiety, genuine is the key. Genuine appreciation is oxygen to many people. So, employees, team members, contributors, help show empathy for the unique role your leader might be in, recognizing them as a real person, as a human being, and not just a leader or quote-unquote your boss. Help show a little empathy for the unique role your leader might be in, and help them feel your appreciation for their efforts. Even if they, of course, nobody's perfect, but even in the midst of that, help them feel your appreciation for their efforts. And leaders, those of you that are in a leadership role, some of the most meaningful and valuable moments of our days are spent in sharing genuine appreciation with our people. Some of the most meaningful and valuable moments that you'll spend in your day are when you genuinely appreciate the people around you. And so help give them oxygen. Help give oxygen to those on your team by recognizing and showing gratitude for their talent and their efforts. And as we breathe oxygen into both of us, we are going to be more capable of navigating our way through everything that we're experiencing. And so this love letter, this memo, this reminder to both leaders and team members, contributors, employees, the ways in which we can help each other right now is to proactively communicate, to not pull the ripcord too early or make any assumptions on either side, and to show genuine appreciation for both sides of this. Calibrating our personal thermostat, our own awareness, our own response, and calibrating our social awareness of the people around us and the relationship development that we have for the people around us. Again, you remember us talking about emotional intelligence a few episodes ago. We need to recognize this in ourselves, but then also calibrate our own behavior, our own response. We are the thermostats. Our internal temperature sets a temperature externally for others based on our response and on our behaviors. So, as always, I'm going to leave us with a few questions to ponder this week. Leaders, those of you in a leadership role, in what ways can you help your team members out? In what ways can you help your team members out? Are things clear? Are you proactively communicating? And are you showing appreciation for the people around you? Genuine appreciation. Team members, employees, contributors, are you communicating with your leader about what is unclear, about how you're feeling, and are you showing genuine appreciation for your leader's role and the efforts of your leader? Remember, all of this happens every single day by the way we calibrate our own thermostat, and all of us play a role, both sides of this, leaders and team members. It's a two-way street, and all of us are going to be the ones to set that temperature for the people along our path. Thank you for joining in today, for tuning in. I hope you'll keep tuning in. Next episode is going to be really exciting. We're going to do a little Thermostat Cultures live preview, the preview episode of our upcoming October 29th Thermostat Cultures live event, which is going to be super exciting. If you want to know more about that, again, check out thermostatcultureslive.com. Going to be an amazing day of development around authentic leadership and compelling cultures. So, remember, the best leaders, teams, and cultures on the planet stimulate progress by recalibrating their thermostat together.
Thank you for listening to today's podcast, and I hope the messages and questions stimulate positive change along your path. As always, if these messages resonate with you and add value to your life, I hope you'll help amplify them throughout the world. Please rate, comment, and share on whatever podcast or social media platform you're using. And share this podcast with the people in your life or work who should be part of these conversations. That way, this spirit does, in fact, spread. If these messages or developing leaders and culture would be helpful to your organization, or you have a question or comment about this podcast, please contact us at jasonvbarger.com. And remember, We all are ambassadors for the culture we want to create in our life and work. We have to own the vision we want to be a part of. The future of leadership is you, is me, is us. Be a thermostat.